Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're taking a look at the Springbank 25 2019. Dustin, I got our hands on an odd number year Springbank 25, my friend.
Yeah.
This time it's 60% sherry, 40% rum. The long looked after but never found for us 2019 bottle.
Yeah, never saw it locally.
25.
A buddy of mine sent me a message and said, hey, I got a store willing to go at cost. What are your thoughts? Should I get it? And I said, if you weren't buying it, I'm happy to split. He decided to get it for himself. But he shared a few ounces with us.
Rob, we appreciate it, brother. I really do. Springbank 25 was my first Springbank love. Hard not to love it. I gotta be honest with you. Not that I haven't been. Hard not to like Springbank 25. Regardless of who you are.
It's hard not to like it. You're right.
If you don't like Springbank 25, you probably don't like whiskey. Here's the thing. 46% ABV, like always. I used to joke around that the odd number year Springbank 25s are bad luck because we could never get them.
I think we've gotten one up to this day. I think we got the 21. That's it.
You know, 18, 20,
I have 16,
20, 16,
18,
20. 22. We just couldn't get the odd number ones. But
We got a 21. That's it.
yeah, but to round out the collection, we don't mind doing a little sample. So we're going to do a few whiskey reviews like that. We'll do this one at Old Highland Park and maybe a lag of 137. You never know.
If you guys, anytime you find a whiskey this rare that we don't have,
We'll
take a sample and we'll review it.
We'll be thankful.
Oh man, this is another really special nose here, Mike. This is
Very
kinda,
rich even for Springbank 25.
Yeah, this is taking me back to that 2016. It's not as fruity and sweet. This is a little more funky, but it's got that level of boldness on the nose.
You know, rare that they don't put any bourbon cask maturation in one of these 25s. Very rare.
Yeah, they've used a little. They've gone rum occasionally, and honestly, historically, I've struggled with differentiating rum and bourbon on these 25s because they're usually tired casks.
Not this time.
I don't think. Yeah, I think I'm getting a really interesting fruit. I'm almost getting like a raspberry lemonade.
Yeah, something red. I was going to say strawberry, raspberry, strawberry. I get all that.
I'll go with you there.
But it is so sweet. The sweetness level, even for Springbank 25, is really turned up here. You compare it to the 2016, some of the sweet red strawberry jam notes that I got from that are here, but they're even darker. I don't quite get the flower note, but it's early.
Are you getting coal? I'm getting like a distinct coal, like charcoal.
Not charcoal, but
Wood. That's not wood stove, like a charcoal stove.
But I'll say this, that I'm really focusing right now on that red fruit smashed strawberry jam note.
It's once you get past that.
Oh, man, it's so good.
There's a funkiness here.
Yeah, the sugar cookies are here, but the sugar cookies are always cleaned up. You put a suit and tie on.
But this isn't the Springbank funk. There's another funk here.
It's the rum.
It's gotta be.
There's like a purpleness to this rum or something. Someone left a crayon in that cask.
There's a chestnut note coming through as well. A little bit of a burnt croissant. I'm getting some heavy chestnut and leather.
Yeah, leather for sure. Leather with almost like a red rose by it or something.
I have left that red sweetness completely by, and what I'm focusing on now, man, is all this dirty, kind of funky, oaky, woody leather. This is one of the dirtiest 25s we've had.
It's dark. It's sherry and rum with no bourbon to kind of brighten it up. It's a dark 25.
But it's not like dark sherry. Like I think the 21 that we had was a darker the 2020 was a darker sherry. Sorry.
I can get with that, but this is a funky rum.
This has got a dirtiness deep under the sweetness, hiding beneath.
There's some type of left out too long maple syrup to it.
There's definitely a bit of a spoiled kind of a element here.
When you walk past trees that are actually harvested for their syrup, and the sap's kind of dried on the side, there's a dry sap on the side of bark to it.
Ooh. Now I'm getting the cinnamon, or not the cinnamon.
I'm getting cinnamon.
I'm getting the sugar cookies, but they have a bit of cinnamon and brown sugar, which is where I was trying to go.
There's a big wall of cinnamon.
These are a darker version of the Springbank 25 cookie notes. A very dark version of it. I can't get past that nice sugar cookie note. Now I'm getting more of that little bit of lemonade hint with that just slightly red. Maybe it's raspberry, maybe it's strawberry.
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting a little bit of an Honor Palmer here.
There could be a hint. Oh, yeah, the tea note's not a bad note either, yeah. Because there's bitterness in here.
Yeah. Dirty, gritty bitterness.
Wow. Oh, Rob, man, what have you... You found a gem, apparently, man.
I have yet to be not impressed with any Springbank 25. And we've done a few.
Yeah, sometimes Springbank 25s for me on the first pour are a little underwhelming. Mind you, that's when I first crack them. This obviously is not first crack. I know Rob's had this open a little bit. Oh, buddy, man. Thank you for this one. This is really a good one.
It's getting funkier. The sweetness is trying to fight it, but the funk is coming. I bet we pour a couple drops of water, it's just going to be...
Oh, it's going to keep...
It's going to be basketball.
It's going to keep shifting, man.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting like some kind of twisted like bakery good where one side's like cheese, cheese cream filling, whatever it is, and the other side's some kind of raspberry.
Oh, you going double-decker Danish, are you?
Something like that, man.
Yeah. I've seen the double-decker Danish. You got apple on one side, a little bit of spice and cinnamon. You got strawberry on the other side, a little bit of tart, a little drizzle on
but
top.
I'm getting that cream cheese, like it's vanilla cream cheese.
A little bit of that drizzle,
yeah.
That's what it is. It's that vanilla cream cheese all over. Little pockets of fruit.
Getting little hints of that sourness from the cream cheese.
Diced apple. Diced red apple.
I'm not sure if I'm getting apples. I'm getting the cinnamon, man. You could convince me cinnamon apples here.
There's a firmness to that cinnamon and that red note.
You know what? Dried apples, actually. Dried apples. It's not a fresh apple, it's dried.
You ever had dried banana chips?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but I know what you're talking about.
There's a vanilla aspect to them I'm getting.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
Which, without bourbon, I'm surprised there's any vanilla in this at all. I think I'm getting it from that rum cask, I think. Just dirty, filthy.
Rum could have it for sure. I mean, I think the Springbank malt is just a little vanilla.
Dirty vanilla.
Oh, it's dirty.
Dirty maple brown sugar vanilla.
It lets you do all those fun things you want to do. Others say no.
Yeah, no one's saying no here. Call that a soup kitchen.
Hey, Springbank, it came literally from the floor where they've added it.
Yep. Dirty Mike and the boys. 100%.
Springbank wasn't born with a silver spoon in its hand. Grew up in the mean floors of those dunnage warehouses. Yeah, this is a nice little bit of a chameleon, Mike, where you'll get fruity, you'll get sweet, you'll get a little savory, you get some dustiness, you definitely get the age. It's really kind of going back and forth, and it lets you kind of move it around in your nose and really dig into what you like. And I love that about this whiskey. God.
Stinging dark, like a red cherry, not quite cherry, red stewed fruits. Beautiful brown sugar sweetness on the side. Vanilla right down the center of this thing. The rum cast is kind of taking over. Molasses, dark molasses, bordering on dark honey. Molasses, honey, sashaying into some nice, cool smoke. The red stewed fruits are incredibly substantial. There's so many things going on here, Dustin. Cinnamon on the sides and the linger. Beautiful Springbank smoke with a little bit of funk. More funk than smoke, with a whisper of smoke with it. Is it a little bit of peat? Is it wood smoke? Maybe it's both.
Oh, it's both.
I don't care, but it's delicious. What are you getting?
Yeah, so the red stewed fruit, totally on there, and it's bringing me right back to the last one of these we had, which was the 2021, which was a heavy stewed fruit. This one, though, while it's much more traditional Springbank 25 when you first get in there, which is basically telling you guys that it's a little cleaner than the nose was. It's a little less sour, a little less
Not
funky.
a ton cleaner. Sorry, don't mean to interrupt.
A little bit.
A little bit.
It's more neutral. It's kind of we were kind of on this range of all these kind of crazy notes. It's more in here in your kind of flavor wheel. You're getting a nice vanilla, but you're getting a little bit more funk, a little bit of bitterness coming through with that. You've got really nice stewed fruits. You're getting some of those hints of sherry, but they're not overpowering. They're not super drying or coy. The age comes through here, but it doesn't come through like an ultra aged whiskey. If you came back and you said, "Hey, Dustin, this is actually a 21," I could believe you. I would hint that there might be some older whiskey there, but finish is that beautiful where it leaves that. I just think of this as like red Springbank. It's not overly sherried, but it's red. It gives you those berries, those fruits, but it doesn't necessarily bring you into like a really heavy sherried Springbank, like say the 18 from a couple years ago where they put the tube on it, or the 2020 25 we talked about. This isn't Glendronach for those of you who don't have our Springbank palates. It's much more like a Highland Park 21 in its sherry profile.
Delivery,
Yeah.
Yeah, he kept saying red. Yeah, it is stewed fruits this whole way. You know, the rum cask knocked off some of the sherry notes kind of on the finish, the overly bitter, overly wine-forward notes. Then, on the other half, I think some of the sherry notes kind of knocked off some of the overly funky rum notes on this one. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a cross-tide, which happens very rarely, but I've seen pictures of it. And they're both just kind of going through each other, taking little pieces of the undesirable off, but leaving the core of what makes both rum and I mentioned Oloroso sherry, I'm guessing.
It didn't say, but that's traditionally what they use.
It kind of tastes like Oloroso.
Yeah.
It kind of takes the things that that can somehow get a little disjointed with age for those two things and completely wipes them away. We say funky with Springbank. There's a difference between off-putting notes and funky Springbank, and there's no off-putting notes. There's just funky Springbank here. But it is very dark. It almost comes off Dimetapp purple at times on the palate.
Yeah, I just had another sip before I added the water.
So did I.
And I'm getting more like the richer leathers. I'm starting to actually get the age more here. So I'm starting to actually change my initial thought there. This actually comes off as actually one of the older Springbank 25s.
Ooh.
Because it's really
180.
Because I'm realizing that some of that funk I initially got it's heavy leather. This is actually very heavy on the leather notes. And I was trying to associate those with the rum because I think they play together a bit. But no, there's a heavy leather here, which is really being driven by that age. And I think that's a big factor in balancing it. On the approach, I'm now realizing that there is a little bit more sourness than I first picked up, which is coming from that rum, I believe. But it's very quickly just kind of forgotten because a little bit of smoke, a little bit of peat comes in, and then those sweet red stewed fruit notes just come pounding in, and then the leather, the oak really comes in, and man, it creates just a beautiful balance from start to finish.
Any Springbank fan would love this whiskey.
Oh yeah.
I will say this in as far as your back and forth on the age with and without the water. When it comes to rum cask maturation, rum is the great deceiver to me when it comes to age.
Agreed.
Like you really to me, bourbon's pretty easy. You can tell if something hasn't been aged long in bourbon, and when it has been aged 30 years in bourbon. Mm-hmm. Sherry, assuming it's not a first fill, or not a strong second fill, you get a good feel for it. Being rum, sometimes you just don't know. Because even with age, you're going to be pungent, and even with youth, it can be overly sugary and dark.
Yeah.
So, and woody sometimes as well.
Speaking of sugar, it has gotten a little more sour, a little bit more like tropical fruit, or maybe even like a lemon note, and it's gotten a lot sweeter with a little drop of water.
Yeah, I tell you what, water always brings me right back to the distillery. If the cask maturation is overly whatever, I tell you what, you put a few drops of water in Springbank, you get right back to fucking funky cookies.
Well, the back end is all Springbank, but I'm getting like a lemon cookie now.
It lightened it up substantially.
Yeah.
I would, at this point with water, could be convinced there was a bourbon cask in this. We know it isn't, but I could be convinced. I wouldn't say it was the craziest thing I'd ever heard.
It would definitely not be a first fill, but yes.
The sour, funky vanilla in here is just bordering on vegetal.
Well, and here's the thing, the part that I just keep going back to. If I nose it at the top of the glass, it's all sour fruity.
Yeah.
If I dig in, it's rich, sugar cookie. It's super sweet, and it's even getting sweeter as I go in. I mean, I'm getting like fresh baked brown cookies with cinnamon on them. Like, wow.
But like you said earlier, brown sugar's in those cookies. It's not regular sugar.
No, yeah, it is brown sugar cookies. But then if I go and get somewhere in between the fruitiness and the darkness, I get sugar cookies. It's a fun one. I can get some marshmallow here.
I'm glad they decided to get this risky with the 25. This is a bold 25.
Yeah, well, from what I've gathered, that 2016 release, those were such tired casks that they felt they needed to put it in a port pipe to try to bring something out. And it wasn't a first fill port pipe. They didn't, aggressively do it.
I loved that one.
But they needed something to kind of fix it. Well, and I think 2019's around when you start seeing that Springbank was they started having casks with a little bit more oomph at that 25. I think Springbank did a terrible job with their cask management
late
30 some years ago.
Probably.
And, 1,200 bottles here, so this is about the standard of recent years. They're up to 1,400 on this year's, but
So sparing on these 25s.
yeah, it's 2, 3, 4 casks max.
Yeah, I mean, you know by the little outturn they give you every year, just how rare it is for their
Probably
malt.
2 rum barrels and a sherry butt. That's probably what they gave you here.
Probably not far off, but I would say one rum. What was it, 60-40 sherry?
Yeah.
It's a bigger cask, though. The sherry cask.
Sherry's are way bigger cask, yeah. Actually, I don't know what size a standard rum cask is now that I think about it.
I keep trying to think back to our...
Because the rum cask may have been a bourbon cask that had rum in it, or could be something
anything.
else. Yeah.
I think back to our 19 and 18-year-old single cask, the one that was rum and one that was just sherry, like the fresh ones. And when you have those type of whiskeys...
Port.
Oh, I'm sorry. One was port, you're right. You can kind of go back to these and think like, okay,
Now, we have a sherry and a rum. So we have a bourbon and a rum we haven't reviewed yet to still bring you guys.
we'll get to all of them. We've drank them, though. There's so many sides of spring. You can do so much with the small. It's so malleable.
It's so pleasant. It's so mature. It's so well done. I mean, this is nothing like a 12-year. God. A little bit of spiciness, just like an allspice kind of thing comes through.
25 is usually when a distillery shows you its best whiskey, if it's bottled at a good ABV.
Yes,
All
it
right.
does.
So now with water, stuff that's new, it kind of sashayed into a sugary bubblegum again. Got a little bubblegum note, shoelace bubblegum, if you will. The vanilla's a little more prominent. Funkiness is there. Water kind of cut into the ABV a little bit. These are all 46 if I didn't mention it before. And I never got 46 before, which is a solid ABV. But with a few drops of water, it feels all 46 to me now.
Yeah, I mean, Springbank malt is usually... It's not the heaviest of malts. It's not a light malt, but it's not super heavy.
It's not like one.
No.
But it ain't for either.
Man, it's got to be great.
It is. All right, buddy. Let's talk about a whiskey score here. My favorite, I think that's 16. I gave it a 92. This isn't my favorite, but it's close. So I'm going to go 91 out of 100 on this. I don't hand out 91s as generous as I used to. So this is something that I'll remember. I'll remember even amongst the Springbank 25s, like the dark one. That rum and cherry one, 60-40.
It's a good one, man.
Devil's Split, where you at for as a whiskey score?
I personally do not like the rum cask maturation on this one as much as you are. That said, it's not a flaw. It's just a preference.
Correct.
I'm still at 91. I think this is excellent. This is probably like third or fourth. This one and the 2021 are probably really close. I wish I could, side by side them, but I would say those are kind of right there for me.
This is probably my second or third favorite. I've done what? We've done 7?
16 and 20 are my 2 favorites without no question. And then this one and the 21 are really right there. The 18, 20,
18, yeah. 18 was all sherry, right?
20's all. Sorry. I'm missing one in that list.
So am I. We've done 6. This is 6.
Yeah,
Anyway, point is, we're both at a 91 out of 100.
it's awesome.
Then a just incredible Springbank. If we didn't seem overly excited, believe me, inside, jump around like small school children.
Dude, I'm loving this one.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, I'm telling you, I will say this. I do think the nose is slightly, is probably the show here, probably 92. Palate, 91. Finish
89.
is probably where it's weak, and it's 89, 90, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of where I'm at, too. We're kicking around the same numbers on this one. Anyway, those are our thoughts on this particular whiskey. Always fun to get an odd year Springbank 25, so this one being the 2019. So we appreciate one of our subscribers, I'm assuming.
I would assume he subscribes.
One of our subscribers for this, so thank you very much. Dustin, do you have anything to say before we kick it off to the next review?
Happy Springbank drinking.
We'll see you next time.